Here are today's top stories. Heavy rains and floods brought by the southwest monsoon continue to pummel Metro Manila and parts of the country. China assures the Philippines that it would not fall into a debt trap after availing loans for the government's Build, Build, Build program. Parents of children vaccinated with Dengvaxia seek President Duterte's help in resolving the Dengvaxia issue. And the Philippines and France vow to join forces in improving tourism by promoting religious destinations. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Various parts of the country continue to experience rains brought by an enhanced southwest monsoon. Metro Manila and several provinces were hit by floods, displacing hundreds of residents. Janice Cave has our top story.
The southwest monsoon or habagat, enhanced by Tropical Depression Inday and Tropical Storm Sontin, formerly known as Henry, continue to dump light to heavy rains in most parts of the country. Light to moderate with occasional heavy rains would affect Metro Manila and the regions of Ilocos, Cordillera, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, Bicol, and the Visayas. The Philippine Coast Guard reports that sea travel has been suspended since Tuesday in some parts of Bicol, southern Tagalog, and southern Visayas regions due to heavy rains. In Metro Manila, the Joint Quick Reaction Team resumed the deployment of free rides for stranded passengers in Commonwealth Circle, Monumento, and EDSA Timog. In Cavite, the Sangguniang Bayan declared 12 coastal villages under state of calamity. The DSWD Field Office 4A have readied family food packs for the flood victims and available funds as augmentation support from the local government units. Meanwhile, floods in Bulacan cut off access in parts of MacArthur Highway. Some barangays in Meycauayan, Bulacan Town, Santa Maria, and Marilao were submerged in up to 2 feet of floods. Heavy rains also caused flash floods in 46 villages in Balanga City and 9 other towns in Bataan. Some 60 individuals from Balanga City and more than 30 others from Morong Town are now in evacuation centers. In Antique, a heightened alert has been raised over the Bacong River in Kulasi Town in case the river overflows. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Inclement weather brought by Tropical Storm Henry has so far affected 2,300 families in Region 3 and Mimaropa. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council says affected families in Region 3 were placed at 2,290 and another 10 families were in Occidental Mindoro. No casualties were reported as of this time. Some 23 houses in Region 3 were also reported partially damaged. 2 landslides were reported in Coron, Palawan, and Olongapo City, Zambales last July 15. The first one occurred at Sitio Tubatan, Barangay de Calachao, Coron, and was brought about by continuous light to moderate rain in the area. The incident stranded 30 passengers in the area. The second landslide took place at Gordon Heights, which caused part of a garage to collapse. Meanwhile, 55 barangays in Mimaropa, Region 3, and the National Capital Region were flooded. The Department of Interior and Local Government laments the disinformation spreading about federalism amid growing awareness on the administration's campaign for constitutional reform. DILG Assistant Secretary Jonathan Malaya says he is not surprised that some groups are spreading misinformation about charter change and federalism. Malaya cited the recent Pulse Asia survey, which shows that more people nationwide know about the proposals to change the 1987 Constitution. According to the Pulse Asia survey results released Monday, awareness on constitutional reform has increased to 55% in June from 49% in March. Malaya says the questions in the survey were crafted to make it seem that Filipinos are against federalism when 69% know little or nothing. He added that the survey was misinterpreted since a total of 48% are actually open to the possibility of constitutional reform. Malaya says now that the consultative committee has submitted its draft to the president, they expect support for federalism to increase once President Duterte endorses the proposal during his State of the Nation address on July 23. The Philippines is unlikely to fall into a debt trap even after it took loans from China to bolster the Duterte administration's Build infrastructure program. Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, Zhao Zhanhua, gave this assurance as President Rodrigo Duterte led the groundbreaking ceremony of two bridge projects to be funded by a Chinese grant. Zhao said the two bridge projects to be constructed for free by China along the Pasig River do not have any strings attached. The ambassador added that China will honor this commitment to make sure those projects will not have any negative impact on the country's socio-economic development. The two projects to be funded by Chinese grants include the 134-meter Binondo Intramuros Bridge and the 500-meter Estrella Pantaleon Bridge in Mandaluyong. Zhao said China is also considering soft loans for 5 more bridge projects along Pasig River. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez agreed that the Philippines will not fall into debt trap since all projects, especially those set to be funded by China, are all economically viable. More than 400 police personnel from Central Luzon will be sent to Manila to help augment security during the third State of the Nation address of President Rodrigo Duterte. The Police Regional Office 3 has been tasked to help ensure peace and order and public safety at Batasan, Quezon City. The augmentation troops will stand by and be ready on call starting July 22nd. PRO3 Director Chief Superintendent Amador Corpus says personnel are reminded to observe maximum tolerance and to ensure they respect the human rights of incoming protesters. Meanwhile, President Duterte's sauna is expected to be very exciting, with acclaimed film director Binibining Joyce Bernal calling the shots. Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Martin Andanar says Bernal hopes to capture how patriotic the president is as he delivers his achievements and plans. The communications chief also said Bernal wants to show Duterte as a mayor, father, and president. Earlier, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said Duterte will read his sauna speech in not more than 35 minutes. Still to come, parents of children vaccinated with Dengvaxia seek President Rodrigo Duterte's help in resolving the Dengvaxia issue. The government releases financial aid to mitigate the effects of the train law in the Davao region. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Itong araw na to ay kailangan namin ang tulong ng bawat isa, mapa-media, mapa-information officer, mga opisyales na nandito na kasama natin. Kailangan natin ng tulong para sa isang programang kailangan nating ipahiwatig sa ating mga community at mamamayan.
We are very happy and glad that this activity is held in Ramon Magsaysay. You know, Ramon Magsaysay was regarded as the most peaceful town around the province of Zamboanga del Sur. And it is because wala din sumpak na pero nga malinaw ni kay kulang ni tao din gamay na kami kamuyok. Salamat sa pagbisita kay nakahimo mong bibo ang Ramon Magsaysay this morning.
Tayo ay magtulong-tulungan para sabihin ang proyekto at programa ng gobyerno. Bakit? Para lahat, no? Magka-benefit at magkaroon ng komportableng buhay. So karon grabe kayo ang social media. Kung sa information nga itong gusto, dali na kayo na itong makita. Muna nga di paningkamutan yun sa Malacanang nga kita, labi na mga youth, mga kabatanunan, kauban sa mga taga-media nga makuha na to ang sakto nga information para mausap yung sakto usab ang atong mahatag sa ato ang mga katawhan.
Salamat kayo sa inyuhang panahon. Daghan sa inyo ang gikan pa sa ubang munisipyo, bukod mo dire. Gusto na ko i-remind sa inyuhang tanan ang importante na 3-point agenda. Kinahanglan atong likayan ang droga. Kaya kamo mga kabataan mo, mga leader man mo, mga SK man mo, atong likayan ang droga, atong likayan ang kriminalidad, o atong likayan ang corruption. Okay? You are the future of Zamboanga del Sur. You are the future of your municipalities. Hence, you are the future of our nation. Daghang salamat ug maayong buntag kanatong tanan.
I will fight fake news. I will dismiss disinformation.
I will fight fake news. I will dismiss disinformation.
A group of parents whose children were vaccinated with the dengue vaccine Dengvaxia called on President Rodrigo Duterte to have a dialogue with them. The National Federation of Dengvaxia Vaccinees Organization is asking the president to speak up and unite government agencies to address the issue. Representative Elvi Ligralde says their concerns are still unanswered, such as the possible connection between the deaths of children and the inoculation with Dengvaxia in 2016. DOH Calabarzon says there were a total of 46 deaths recorded among Dengvaxia recipients since 2016. However, Dr. Eva Marie Torrio, Calabarzon medical officer, said some of the deaths were coincidental and cannot be directly connected to Dengvaxia. Earlier, the DOH submitted a list of Asian pathologists who will study the safety issue concern on Dengvaxia to Malacanang. The Department of Trade and Industry has distributed livelihood starter kits to displaced residents of Marawi as part of efforts to revive business in the city. More on this from Miguel Hill.
The Department of Trade and Industry will roll out more livelihood starter kits for residents of war-ravaged Marawi City following the approval of 872 million pesos in funding under the government's Bangon Marawi program. On Monday, the DTI awarded 500 livelihood kit certificates to internally displaced persons in Marawi. The certificates, worth 15,000 pesos each, can be used to claim their business starter kits such as sewing machines, karinderia, sari-sari store, carpentry tools, delivery trucks, and mobile rice mills, among others. The new batch of starter kits will also include tricycles and pedicabs for the transportation needs in Marawi. Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez said President Rodrigo Duterte wants to ensure that government support continues to flow in Marawi City. The head of Task Force Bangon Marawi Subcommittee on Business and Livelihood noted that with the newly approved fund, DTI can bring quality Maranao products in Go Local stores in Metro Manila and in 12 key cities nationwide, where the government will shoulder the rental for mall spaces. On top of the Bangon Marawi funding for DTI's initiatives, Lopez said the agency is rolling out its microloan program, Pondo sa Pagbabago at Pag-asenso, or the P3 program for IDPs in the area. He said the DTI, through its financing arm, Small Business Corporation, has already released about 5 million pesos to 364 microloan borrowers. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
A Chinese steel manufacturer is looking for a 300-hectare parcel of land in the Philippines for its 3.5 billion peso investment project in the country. Philippine Economic Zone Authority Director General Charito Plaza says the Panhua Group seeks to put up an integrated steel mill in the Philippines. Plaza says the company has been looking for a new manufacturing hub in a neighboring country since the United States began imposing higher tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from China. She added that company executives are seeking an audience with President Rodrigo Duterte to present their investment plans. The Chinese firm's envisioned project may also include a modern port within the economic zone. PEZA met the executives from Panhua Group during an investment mission last month in the cities of Chongqing and Zhangjiajiang in China. About 1,000 social pensioners in the Davao region have received assistance from the government's unconditional cash transfer under the train law. Aside from the monthly pension of 500 pesos from the DSWD, Pantawid beneficiaries would be given a one-time payment of 2,400 pesos. Over 76,000 non-Pantawid beneficiaries who underwent validation will also receive the same amount in August. The DSWD hopes to increase the one-time aid to over 3,000 pesos next year. Under the train law, indigent families are set to receive 200 pesos per month in thorough unconditional cash transfers to mitigate the effects of higher prices. President Rodrigo Duterte extended financial support worth 100,000 pesos to the wife of a young police officer who was killed in an anti-drug operation in Barangay Pias in Nueva Ecija last Monday. Town Police Chief Senior Inspector Adriano Gabriel handed the amount to Laika Camille, wife of PO1 Mariano Emanuel Caparas. The policeman was part of the team that conducted a buy-bust operation against Albert Gutierrez, resident of Barangay Pias, who died on the spot when backup troops retaliated. Camille, who is 6 months pregnant with her first child, thanked President Duterte for the grant. She said this gesture manifested the president's sincerity in supporting law enforcers in the war against criminality. Up next, selected local government units are set to build halfway houses for rebel returnees in preparation for localized peace talks. Persons with autism in Lawag express themselves through art. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Isisilang na ang prinsesa.
Wow, optimistic.
You have to let me go.
Why?
Ikaw na lang hinihintay namin dito, ha?
Oh my God!
Buti pang constellations. My connection.
Hello? Uy!
Paano? Gusto nila tayong takutin.
Alam mo, kung ako sa inyo, pag-isipan nyo kung saan kayo magdinenok ng 180K. Kaya kayo lahat sa wedding. Oo, kaya benta kayong kidney.
Ate Vicky! Hello, ate!
Last year, magkasama tayo ng Valentine's. Ngayon, pag-day after na ako.
Ano ba pinasok natin na? Ano to?
Sasabit tayo, nakikita mo ba yan?
Hoy, tama na iyak!
Members of the New People's Army who plan to surrender in time for the localized peace talks will be accommodated in especially built halfway houses. Interior OIC Secretary Eduardo Año says local government units will receive assistance from the Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integration Program for the construction of the halfway houses with an estimated cost of 5 million pesos each. 9 provinces have been chosen as implementing partners where the houses will be built. This is apart from the financial assistance provided by the DILG to hundreds of former communist rebels for the past 3 years. Año says the rift between the government and the leftist leaders will not stop the DILG from responding to the needs of rebel returnees. The French Embassy in Manila is optimistic on the further development of France and Philippine relations with the two countries' upcoming bilateral meeting on tourism. Paris and Manila share a common focus to promote pilgrimage as a contributor to tourist arrivals. 11 of France's 42 UNESCO World Heritage Sites are religious, such as the Cathedral of Notre Dame, Episcopal City of Albi, and the Historic Center of Avignon. Manila also offers faith-based tourism, which seeks to highlight the country's religious landmarks. The Department of Tourism and relevant French agencies are expected to hold their first working group meeting in Manila by the second half of 2018 to establish a joint committee on tourism. French Ambassador Nicolas Galli cited an active partnership between Manila and Paris in terms of defense, cultural exchange, and education. Galli earlier noted that the Philippines could still explore its potential once its tourism services and infrastructure are further developed. The NLEX Road Warriors blasted Formosa 94-68 at the start of the Asia League Summer Super 8 tournament at the Macau East Asia Games Dome in Macau on Tuesday. The Road Warriors began the game with a 9-1 run and then outscored the Dreamers in a second period to virtually seal the rout. Kenneth Ighalo posted 14 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals for NLEX, while Kenny Chen led Formosa with 18 markers and 2 boards. Both the Road Warriors and Formosa are using the tournament as part of their early build-up for the upcoming PBA Governors Cup and the ASEAN Basketball League season, respectively. Meanwhile, South Korea's Seoul Samsung Thunders struggled offensively and fell to the Blackwater Elite 78-67. The Elite took advantage of the Thunder's early struggles, stifling their efforts to cut their lead in the fourth quarter. Boy Eram finished with 20 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 blocks, and 2 steals for the Elite. Kim Dong-uk led the Thunders with 16 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals, but he was scoreless in the entire second half. Over 100 persons with autism showed off their artistic skills in a workshop in Lawag City to raise awareness and promote acceptance of their condition. Maricor Zapata has this story.
The spacious air-conditioned auditorium of the Lawag City Hall opened on Tuesday for people with autism, who filled every corner of the room with art. The Autism Society of the Philippines, or ASP, partnered with the city government of Lawag and the Ilocos Norte National High School to launch the learning activity called Awesome Art Workshop. The activity drew more than 100 people with autism. The participants turned blank papers into their own unique creations, coming up with drawings of colorful sunsets, trees, rivers, animals, and even abstract art. Genevieve Arcangel is the president of the newly created Autism Society of the Philippines Lawag City chapter. She says awareness and acceptance of children with autism should start with the parents. She laments that families with children like hers are affected the most when children with autism are treated as abnormal. But she's thankful that autism advocates in the country are increasing in number. The AASP estimates that about 1.2 billion Filipinos now belong to the autism spectrum. In 2012, the group says there were only about 500,000 of autistic Filipinos. The ASP has lined up a series of activities in observance of the National Disability Prevention and Rehabilitation Week. The autistic community, however, prefers to treat autism not as a disorder or sickness, but only a special condition. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's top stories. Heavy rains and floods brought by the southwest monsoon continue to pummel Metro Manila and parts of the country. China assures the Philippines that it would not fall into a debt trap after availing loans for the government's Build, Build, Build program. Parents of children vaccinated with Dengvaxia seek President Duterte's help in resolving the Dengvaxia issue. And the Philippines and France vow to join forces in improving tourism by promoting religious destinations. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. With the rains coming in heavy volumes, don't forget to take the extra care to keep an umbrella and raincoat handy at all times, and remember to take your vitamins. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I'm William Theo. Good day.